it's coming from the headphones or if it's from your computer, but just, is it coming through on the headphones? We'll see. If not, you could just turn it down. You don't even need, now I'm thinking about it, you might not even need sound, you know?
Oh, true.
I think it's coming just from the computer.
Are you talking about, what do you mean, like?
The, yeah, so I can hear it. Yeah, I can hear like the reverb from the computer.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
So you can just turn, like if you just turn volume down on your computer, it should be fine. All right. So it is all set up and live. So what's going on, people? Welcome back to another stream. Thank you for joining me here. We got some people already in the chat. Real quick, how's the sound quality for you guys? I just want to make sure everything is running smooth before we jump into some analysis, and then we will go from there. Got Tony in the chat, Farhan, Amir, Theo, Lawrence, Roman. What's up, you guys? Welcome, welcome, welcome. Hope you guys are all doing well. We're going to jump into some live stream action, taking a look at everything here. So we are going to be looking at some different currency pairs. We're going to be looking at the markets today just to see what's moving and what's not. I do want to start out by taking a look at the currency heat map. This is something that we usually do here is we'll just go ahead and jump into the stream to the website and pull this up on the stream. We can take a look at the currency heat map. So this is a cool little tool, as you guys may know if you've been watching the stream for a while. It's available on the website completely for free. This is the currency heat map. So what this does is it shows you, I had some questions about this. It shows you the 8 majors here, right? So you've got the different currencies, right? You've got the euro, the US dollar, the Japanese yen, the pound, right? The Swiss franc, the Aussie, CAD, and New Zealand. And it's actually crossing them or matching them up against the other ones. It's almost like a tier list or just a measurement of strength relative to each other. So when we're looking at this chart, what this is telling us is that today, the US dollar is looking pretty weak against most of the other currencies. On the flip side, the euro is appreciating against most of the other currencies. You can see it's beating things like the dollar, the pound, the Swiss franc, the Aussie, CAD, New Zealand. So all of those currencies are weaker than the euro today. We can also go down the line. We can take a look at, for example, the CAD, right? The CAD looking fairly mixed, but mostly negative here against things like the euro, the dollar, the yen, and the pound, right? So with that said, I would say that the strongest ones of the day seem like the yen and the euro. And then the weakest of the day seem to be things like the CAD, I'm going to say the Swiss franc, and maybe the dollar as well. So all of those seem to be pretty weak against most of the other currencies. So with that said, what we'll do is we will go take a look at most of these ones that seem to move in the most, or at least that's how I like to look at. I like to jump over and take a look at the ones that are moving the most. So let's do this. Let's jump out of here. We'll go back over to the Euro USD here and start with this one, which seems, as we're looking at it, to be popping up out of resistance, or at least trying to do so. So let's change this to the 4-hour chart here. And let's take a look at the euro against the US dollar. So I mentioned, remember that the dollar is looking weak today. Well, when the dollar is looking weak and the euro is looking strong, what you can probably imagine is that the euro crossed against the US dollar is looking pretty dang bullish, right? So we are coming into a pretty specific level that I want to talk about, which happens to be right around here at 1.215. Price formed multiple times here where sellers came in, push price lower, sellers came in, push price lower, right? And a move here. What we call this is resistance, right? Or supply. It's a level of the chart where people are saying, hey, this thing is too high. We're going to sell it from here. Well, the thing is, when you get something like this, when you get something that finds resistance strongly in this certain area, it's worth noting, in my opinion, to look at it in the future. So now we are actually testing that area once again. So is it time to sell the Euro USD or is it time to buy? That is the question. But the answer is definitely going to depend on whether or not this supply level is going to hold or not, right? So the idea here is that although it's held in the past, it's not a guarantee that it's going to hold in the future, because remember, the world is changing, right? The demand for the euro is changing. So although it may have been a sell back here, it technically could be a buy over here, especially with that weak US dollar that we're seeing right now. So when we're looking at the Euro USD, my initial response would be not to try and sell this thing just because we've had a lot of momentum off the lows, and the US dollar is having a lot of struggle right now. There's a lot of pressure on the US dollar with high inflation at this point. We do have inflation numbers coming out. I don't know exactly when inflation numbers came out. Was it today or was it some other? I'm going to really quick just pull that up. So what I'm going to do here is I'll back out for a moment, take a look at forexfactory.com, and let's go look. Was there inflation numbers today or is that later in the week? Let's check it out. So pulling this up, what we've got is we've got on Wednesday, we've got CPI. Okay, now CPI for the US is basically a measurement of inflation. It's consumer price index, and it will tell us what they're thinking in terms of month over month inflation in the United States. Higher inflation, what does that mean for a currency? Well, if it's very high, if it's above that 2% mark, then by all means, that could be considered very bearish for the US dollar. On the flip side, if it is more closely to their 2% target, then it definitely could lead to some strengthening of the US dollar. So we don't know what those numbers are going to be just yet, but we are waiting to see what they come out to be on Wednesday at 8:30. So about 24 hours from now. Okay, so we'll pop back up to the Euro USD. Where do we go from here? So let's look at this and we'll say, you know, we are at the key level of resistance here, but you know, I think that honestly, this one is a bit mixed because you've got the U.S. Coming out with news tomorrow, which could cause this thing to spike either direction. But what I would say is I would not be a big bear on the euro at this point. Now, a few months back, I definitely had more of a bearish outlook. We had some very slow vaccine rollouts in the European area and some much better vaccine rollouts here in the United States, right? Well, you flip that around, you start looking at things from a perspective of, okay, well, now things are looking better for Europe, and you've got things sort of mixed here with inflation concerns in the US. I think that there's more potential upside for the euro, if anything. Now, you do have this level here. This is going to be your previous top, which I do think that if buyers get strong, if you're watching this thing on a swing trade basis, I would say look for this trade setup. If anything, you know, watch for something like this. You're looking for a break of this level, retest, and maybe a move from here up to 1.23550. Real quick, what do you guys think? Are you bullish or are you bearish on the Euro USD? I don't have a strong opinion. Like I said, if anything, I think that, you know, maybe with the US dollar weakness, we could see prices float up to 1.235. However, I want to hear from you guys. Let me know in the chat. Hey, everyone in the chat, by the way, I see a bunch of different people tuned in and hanging out with us today. So welcome. Hope you guys are all doing well. Got a bunch of different responses coming in already. We've got a bunch of people saying bullish, some people saying bearish as well. Most people seem to be on the bullish side of the Euro USD. I'd like to also take a look really quick. We'll jump back over to the website. I want to show you this. So retail Forex sentiment. This is kind of a unique take. So this is a tool that allows us to see what the average retail trader is looking at in the markets or what their positions are. And what we can see here is that on the Euro USD, you've got 81% of traders on the short side of Euro USD. The reason that that is a bit concerning is that we know that most retail traders, people who are, you know, beginner level or, you know, just getting into this stuff, unfortunately, they lose money, right? So if we know that most of them are losing money and people are 81% short on the Euro USD, there's no rush for me to ever try and get short right now because, again, that would be trading with the average retail trader who is most likely not right. So it's not a guarantee that it's going to go higher, but I look at this and say, okay, well, if most traders are short, if most of the retail traders are short, I probably don't want to be in that crowd. I would prefer to be in with the bigger traders, the bigger smart, you know, bank traders and institutional traders, hedge funds, you know, those sorts of things, which we can look at with the COT report maybe in a bit. But the idea here is that if 81% of traders are short on the Euro USD, I would say that if anything, that's more of a bullish signal than anything. So looking at Euro USD, that's my thoughts. The trade setup that I like best is probably a break above this resistance and a resumption, if you will, up to the previous high at 1.235. So that is my thoughts there on the Euro USD. Let me know what you guys think. Like I said, if you're watching this at a later point, feel free to comment or chime in with your thoughts for other viewers watching here with me on the Euro USD. Let's switch things around. We'll take a look now at the pound dollar, which is a currency pair that I'm actually fairly bullish on. So we'll pull up the pound dollar and look at this thing run, you guys. So this is the UK, right? So we're looking at the UK's currency, the Great British Pound, which is running up higher against the US dollar today. Very strong. So let's check this out. Okay, so we had some resistance that we talked about on the Sunday video that I did. You guys might remember that I talked about, as price was coming up to this area, basically this area has been a tough place for sellers or for buyers to break through. Every time price rallied, you had sellers stepping in, pushing price back down to the lows, right? Well, what I mentioned is that the UK, the central bank, the Bank of England, if you will, they came out and they said, okay, we are, things are looking good, and there's a good chance that we would like to continue the process of tapering, which is the process of slowing down the money printing and buying of their own bonds. That process is considered bullish for a currency because what you've got is you've got a scenario where they are not as printing of their currency. What happens when you print a lot of your currency? It causes the value of that currency to go down. So when you're looking at this, when you're looking at pound dollar and you've got this strong move to the upside, I think if anything, it is valid and maybe even heading to break through this previous high. Again, when you slow down the money printing and the growth of an economy is looking solid enough for that to happen, then it is considered a bullish catalyst. On top of that, you've got places like the U.S. here where, yes, that is a goal of the Fed is to, of course, to not, you don't want to inflate your currency too fast, but we are not quite there yet. And so, the fact that the UK is and the US isn't, I would say that's a pretty good bullish catalyst. It's better for, in my view, to be long on the pound than the dollar. As always, you guys already know, this is not financial advice. This is just me sharing my opinions and my thoughts. Please, before you make any sort of investment decision, do your own due diligence. So let me also show so that same level of what was supply on the chart looking pretty good as a potential demand zone should we see a bit of a pullback. So we saw this rally like crazy, breaking right through that level of resistance. Finally, with that catalyst, it does look like price was able to, of course, break through what was a strong level for sellers, right? Now, on the flip side, once we reached this point here, arguably you do have, probably some thoughts of people who are wanting to take profit, people who are wanting to sell a bit of this. If you're bearish on the pound, if you think that the US dollar is oversold at this point, there might be people who are looking to try and jump in on the short side here of pound dollar once it reaches up into this zone. So I would be cautious about this. I wouldn't be buying the pound at these prices personally. If anything, though, if this does act as a level of resistance, looking for that pullback, looking for that opportunity to maybe get back in to the pound dollar at 1.4000. Right? So nice round number there. That previous level of what was a strong area of sellers resistance, right? Sellers holding this place like a fortress until finally the gates got busted down and the invaders took over, right? You had the bulls jump in here. And now the question is, can we get that dip? Can we get the pullback to that same level? Because now buyers seem to have a strong hold of this area. Obviously, buyers saw this area strong enough to keep buying it up. So if price comes down, if it gets a discount there, it's kind of like buying a car that you want at a cheaper rate. So, a lot of people might want to jump in and buy that car. So it could cause pound dollar to rally further. So for me, what I'm looking at, if anything, if I'm looking to trade the pound dollar, is a move back to 1.40. And possible moves there could be something to look at. So that's my thoughts. What do you guys think? Again, I'll ask you guys in the chat. Comment, are you bullish? Are you bearish on pound dollar? Let me know. Just chat, comment, let me know in the chat. By the way, guys, if you're newer to the channel here, if this is your first time here or you're hanging out for the first time, whether you're on Facebook right now or either of our 2 YouTube channels, then I want to encourage you to make sure you subscribe to the channel. We looked at the stats, or I was looking at the stats, and it was like 50% of us here are only are subscribed, and the other 50% are not subscribed. So if you would, make sure to subscribe to the channel. It does help, and it's completely free to do. So with that said, let's talk about something else. So we did the euro dollar, we did the pound dollar, we talked about those 2 currency pairs. Let's see if we can get into anything else. Does anybody have any requests? Throw them up in the chat right now, what you want to see, and we'll try and convert over to something else to look at. So let's see what's going on here. So we got, somebody said AUD, USD. Ish says once, let's see if I can, there it is. Once USD gets back, we'll go down really bad. Yeah, the US dollar is looking really, really interesting right now. We got USD CAD as a request. I would like to take a look at dollar CAD. Got lots of recommendations. CAD yen, pound yen. You've got Euro New Zealand from Gurgly over on Facebook. Shout out to our Facebook viewers right now. Pound yen, Euro CAD. Okay, we got a good mix. I'm going to try and get to as many as I can. I know some of you guys want to see gold. You don't even have to comment. I already know everybody wants to look at gold. So we will get to gold. Don't you worry. Let's start with a few more currency crosses, and then we will get to gold. You got to stay tuned if you want to see gold, because we will get there, but we'll go slow. Muhammad wants to look at Ethereum. That is a crazy mover right now. All those cryptos just doing some insane movements recently. So maybe we'll talk a little bit about that at some point as well. So let's look at USD CAD. Anid says that USD CAD is oversold here on the chart. So let's take a look at it and see if we can come up with an idea for the dollar against the Canadian. Now, this is one that, believe it or not, I am actually bearish on this thing, even after it's moved so far to the downside. A lot of times people look at something similar to crypto, right? So crypto has been moving just rocket ship to the upside, right? And a lot of times people say, oh, it looks too high, it's got to come down. Looks too high, it's got to come down. Looks too high, it's got to come, right? And a lot of people miss the moves or even fight the best moves in the market because they are so, I guess, just like stubborn, or think that it's impossible for something to go higher or lower. Well, if a good trend is in place, if you've got a good reasoning for price to continue one way or the other, it can go a lot longer than people expect. So when we look at dollar CAD, and we're taking a look at this chart, to me, although yes, we have sold off significantly, and I probably wouldn't be selling at this point, I probably wouldn't just buy it either, right? So again, the fundamental catalyst here on dollar CAD is pretty bearish. You've got the US dollar, which is struggling with printing a lot of money, which causes their currency to devalue, versus the Canadian dollar, which is actually doing the opposite. Similar to the Bank of England, the Bank of Canada has said that they want to they are slowing the process of buying back bonds and printing their own money. When you print money, it causes the currency value to go down, right? So when we look at Canada, when we look at the US, you've got 2 very different stories, and hence why we're seeing this massive sell-off on the dollar versus the Canadian dollar. So when I'm looking at this, although I am saying, I think it is bearish, I'm not super interested in selling here, right? So even though I'm bearish on something, I still got to get a decent pullback. I got to get some good value. So if we were to see the dollar CAD start to rally for a week or two, maybe we could poke up into some regions where I would feel like, okay, maybe we got some good discounts going. You've got some opportunities to sell this thing maybe at the previous low. If sellers or if buyers were to get strong enough to get us up into these regions, maybe there's opportunities there to look for more sell side, maybe look for the trend continuation. But I do think personally that there is more downside to come for dollar CAD. We will see if I'm right, but I was saying that back here, right? So I was thinking, actually, the real big catalyst was this one right here. So this move, I've talked about this many times. This is basically when Canada said, hey, we're tapering, we're slowing down the process of buying back bonds. And so that was a huge huge bullish catalyst for the CAD. So when I'm looking at this, like I said, if anything, I'm looking for more downside on this, looking for opportunities to sell into this pullback if it does happen, favoring that dollar over the Canadian dollar. So we will see if that happens, but that's just my thoughts on a swing trade basis. What about the lower time frames? Well, if you're looking for a breakout to the high side, if you're saying this thing does look overstretched and you want to, look for those counter trend moves, the one thing I would say is that maybe, we see some sort of pullback to a region like this. Sellers weren't able to get through this for a while. They finally broke down right around here on May 5th. So I would say that, if you are counter trend, if you're looking for something on the buy side, if you're looking to try and look for, a bounce back, I would say just keep an eye on the idea of a break of this range. So you do have some very low time frame, right? You've got some here on the 1 hour time frame. We're really zooming in here on the 1 hour chart. If you get something like this, and you are very bullish on the dollar CAD for your own reasons, whatever they are, maybe moves back are possible. I'm not going to say it's, there's no way to make money on the long side, because the reality is people who are long, people who are short, both people can make money. It's more about finding setups and finding scenarios that give you the best sort of edge. So for example, let's say that, dollar CAD gets very strong here. Maybe we get a pullback on the CAD or some dollar strength or something, and you get a move like this. You start to see that demand rushing into the market, and bam, there you are looking for the opportunities to get long with a decent risk reward. Here's an idea where, you're risking about 25 pips there for a potential move, maybe up to this level here. To the next key level of resistance to me would be right there. That's a move of 60 so pips there to the upside for risking 25. I think that's not the worst case. And if you're really looking for the big move, if you're really trying for a counter trend move, if you think that the dollar CAD has plenty of room to the upside, something like that gives you 135, let's say, pips to the upside there, back to that major level of resistance that we talked about. Again, for me, what that would mean is if price were to get that strong, if price were to really rally up to that point, I'd be more interested in looking at sell setups on this move than anything if I get up to these upper regions. Again, this is how, when it comes to trading Forex, you're looking for opportunities. Some people are looking for long, some people are looking for shorts, but what matters most is that you're taking setups that give you a proper reward to risk, sticking to a plan, and everything else that, we talk about here on the channel. Really, thanks for the message. Says traders support Nick because he's totally legit and good person. Thanks for the compliment. Appreciate that one. And a shout out to all my friends over there on Facebook watching us from the A1 Trading Facebook page. Hey, real quick, we are actually we are live on another YouTube channel, and we have a second show or segment coming on after this one on our secondary YouTube channel. So let me real quick invite you to go down below in the description and click. If you're watching on Facebook or you're watching on the my YouTube channel, if you go down there in the description, it's the second link. Make sure to subscribe to the A1 Trading YouTube channel, and then that way, when the second show starts, you can join in there, because we're going to be doing the second show on just the A1 Trading YouTube channel with our special guest today. We're going to be doing some deep dives with him. So let's move on. We'll find something else to look at here. We'll switch over to our favorite, of course, gold, XAU, USD. Bam, we just switched over to gold, and we are all, look at this move this morning, you guys here. Gold selling off right around 1845. So this, of course, for my newer traders out there, this is the price of gold relative to the US dollar. And we are basically looking at a 1 hour chart. So each one of these candles is 1 hour of trading activity on gold. And so you can see for the past several days, the gold market has been on an uptrend very, very strongly. So today, very interesting to see this beautiful, beautiful head and shoulders pattern on the gold market. For my newer friends out there, let's talk about the head and shoulders pattern. It's a very simple, very straightforward trading pattern. And it is basically the idea that, when you're talking about a trend, you have higher highs and higher lows, right? So a healthy trend looks something like this. You've got demand coming in, pushing prices higher, and you've got highs being formed, highs being formed, highs being formed, and each one is being progressively higher, right? That's what you would call a healthy uptrend. Then you have higher lows being formed. So when price is pulling back, buyers are stepping in and pushing that price off the lows. So when we are looking at something like gold today, check this out. So we were forming these higher highs, right? Higher lows, looking good. There's another higher high. But then check this out. The pattern changed this morning here when in fact we printed a lower high. That looks like the opposite, a downtrend, right? So that's where we're looking at gold, looking very, very interesting here with some sharp sell-off on the gold market here. So we've got a left shoulder, the head of the price, and the right shoulder. So this is what you would call a head and shoulders. And the idea is that is a potential pattern that shows a reversal inbound. So yes, we've been on a strong uptrend, but these sellers candles are very impressive. Look at the sell-off there on gold, going from very quickly from that 1845 range right on down to 1818 in just a few hours of price action. So very impressive sell pressure today from the gold traders out there. I do want to take a look here on gold and see if we can draw in on the 4-hour chart some key stuff here. So I would say that the first natural place for gold to pull back to is going to be that previous level of resistance. We look left on the chart, you can see there is some nice little previous resistance here. Right, so price shot up, found sellers, right? So basically the price of the car was too high there, so people sold it. That's the best analogy that I like to think of is I like to think of like car shopping, because I did some of that just recently with my girlfriend, and it was a very interesting experience, just going from dealer to dealer and seller to seller, going through different options, and it felt a little bit like trading. But anyways, so when we're looking at gold here, the natural place in my view for price to pull back would be a move back to 1810, this previous level of resistance. So I think that there should be, in my, like I said, I would say that the natural place for price to pull back to, there should be a move down to 1810 here. We will see if that can get all the way down there, or if buyers are going to be strong enough to hold this before then. But I would say a move back to 1810. If you're bullish on gold, if you're a bull on the gold market, if you think it's going higher overall, might be worth looking at 1810. But I've mentioned a few times that I'm not incredibly bullish on gold in the short term. Remember that what drives the price of gold? Let's consider this for a moment. So we're looking at the daily chart now. And back in 2020, look at what gold did. Gold went absolutely parabolic. We saw so much demand for the gold market. And why is that? Let's think of like all the basic childhood stories and ideas. You always had like pirates, going after gold and all that stuff, right? Everybody wanted to own gold because it was like this way to store your wealth and to hide it. Well, still today, a lot of times people like to buy and hold gold, physical gold or ETFs, however they buy their gold. They like to buy that gold market so that they can essentially store their money in something that they can control. Because when you're looking at the US dollar, for example, if you're holding cash in your bank account and you are, you're saying, okay, well, I've got my money in US dollars. Well, if inflation spikes dramatically, then in that case, it's probably not the best place to hold on to US dollars, because again, the value of your money is going down over time. On the flip side, when you're looking at something like gold, people were buying gold aggressively during 2020 because they were fearful about what was going to happen with the economy, what was going to happen with the stock market, what was going to happen in other places. People bought gold as sort of a safe haven, if you will. There's nothing safe in any investment for sure. But again, people usually flock to something like gold when things are really scary in the world. So we saw prices rally dramatically, but since then, again, the narrative has shifted a little bit. We've had more sell pressure on the gold market because people are looking, more optimistically at markets, at stocks, at other things like that, right? The economy is bouncing back. We're seeing unemployment seem to drop over time. Now, with that said, that to me means that if anything, gold is not super attractive. If anything, I'm more interested in looking for shorts, if anything, on gold. I'm not a big fan of shorting gold either. If anything, I'm trading the currency pairs that I like the best. But again, So what I would say is be cautious of sell pressure areas like this, right? So when price jumps up into these zones, you can see sellers coming in hot today and looking like they want to retrace back down to 1810. So that would be my thought on the gold market. So a move back to 1810 could be inbound. From there, again, it's going to be dependent on what people are looking at with gold, if it's going to be able to hold that area or not. That's going to be the question. If you get the break of 1810, it does have the potential to move even lower, such as places like, a real sell-off would be a move back to 1760 in my view. You had some very strong demand back here. You can see price multiple times holding the lows, buying into this zone before we rallied to this recent rally. So if price really got bearish, if we broke this 1810 level, moved down to 1770, 1760, could be a natural place of retracement. Let's actually draw a Fibonacci retracement as well, just to see what 50% of this move would look like. So we're going to start from the bottom of this trend and move it all the way to the top of the trend. So, and that lines up perfectly. So check this out. So a 50% move. So this whole move is one, right? 50% pullback would be a move right down there, which actually lines up perfectly or very close to the level that we just talked about. This level 16 or 1760, 1770, that zone. So, if you're looking at this and you're saying, okay, I'm looking to be a buyer on gold, I would say a true discount, a real solid discount might be a move back down to 1760 on the price there. So just my thoughts there on gold. What do you guys think? Let me know. Chat in the box there for me, and let me know what you think about the gold market. Are you a bull or are you a bear? Let's get a audience check really quick and see what you guys think on the gold market. So with that said, I want to see what you guys have to say about that. I do also want to remind you that we do have another show starting on our secondary YouTube channel. I'm very excited about it. We've got another guest joining us today. His name, some of you guys might have seen him last week. He came on for NFP, but we're going to have another guest, and it's actually going to be only on our second channel. So it's not going to be on my channel. We're going to move over to the secondary channel for the show after this one. So real quick, I know that was a lot. All you got to do down below in the description, the second link in the description is a link to our other YouTube channel. We're going to be doing lots of free stuff, free webinars, free workshops, all sorts of stuff for you guys on that second channel. So I want to encourage you to subscribe to that second channel right now so that you can join us on the show. It is going to be in 30 minutes with our special guest who is going to be coming back on to do some more in-depth analysis. His style is a little bit different than mine, but I really like it as well. So I think that you'll get some value from that. Okay, so let's see what everybody said on the chat here. We've got people saying bearish for sure, says Ish. We've got Ninja saying, as of now, I'm a bull. Depends, Amir. Good question. Good response. Amir says that gold depends on the US dollar. It is partially dependent on the US dollar. It's not 100%. Both can actually move up at the same time. So you can have the gold market appreciating and the US dollar appreciating. But, it's one of those things. So gold, would you enter on the break of a trend line short? If anything, that might be a decent scenario to look for opportunities to try and sell. You're talking about something like this. Maybe if you're very bearish on gold, I don't have a strong enough opinion to really take a position on gold. So I'm not super bullish or bearish on gold. There are other things that I'm much more interested in, like the Canadian dollar right now and the pound. Both of those, I'd be looking for more trades before I ever took a position on gold. But if I'm looking at this and if anything, if I had to take a trade on gold, yeah, I'd be looking for breakouts, looking for moves underneath a trend line like this, or maybe even, if I'm really patient, a move down, breaking that structure that we pointed out there, right? So with that said, we'll go ahead and jump over to the next chart. Let me pull up USD JPY. So this is another one we can talk about. So the dollar yen. Get that cleaned up there. So the dollar yen is another very, very interesting currency pair right now. You do have sort of a higher time frame head and shoulders. So what we just talked about, that simple pattern, right? Question of whether or not this will be a head and shoulders is still unanswered, because you've got a scenario here where you've got the dollar yen forming a left shoulder, the head of the move, and the right shoulder. So when we're looking at that, right? The thing is, yes, you're forming that, but it's really not, in my view, it's not very confirmed until you get a true break of like the neckline, right? So if we got a break underneath this, then by all means, that would be bearish. But for now, just because something forms a lower high does not mean the trend is absolutely over, right? There are many times where, for example, here's an example of where you could have looked at this and said, okay, there's a higher low, it's reversing, right? And it didn't, right? So just a lower high or a higher low does not necessarily tell you the whole story. It just tells you that, okay, maybe there's something coming. But for me, a bigger signal would be, if you're looking at dollar yen for the short side, if you're very bearish on this, something like this would be more interesting, selling the retracement, something like that. So that's what I'm looking at on USD JPY. Real quick, comment in the chat. Are you guys subscribed to the second channel? Because I'm telling you guys, you don't want to miss that secondary stream that we do today. It's going to be really fun. So if you're subscribed, let me know in the chat to the second channel, because again, got some fun stuff headed over there. Wow, Tesla! I just got a notification on my phone. I gotta show you guys this. Tesla is down pretty significantly today to $600. I know you guys are mostly Forex traders, but every once in a while we'll pull up a stock. Tesla is one that I own. And honestly, with this pullback, there might be some opportunities to pick up some more Tesla at a discount, in my view. You've got a nice little level of support. I know we're crossing over to, you guys all became stock traders in just a few minutes there. Awesome. Lots of people saying that they're subscribed to the second channel. Awesome. If you're not subscribed, name of the second channel says Ravine. Ravine, what you can do is you can head over down below in the description. Just click the link there. Click the link it's the second link on the description to join the second channel where we've got stuff there. I don't see the link to the new channel. Jack, do you guys see the link there underneath the description? Is that showing up? Look at that. Tesla under $600 today. Really, really selling off there. What's the famous Dogecoin doing? Let's look at Dogecoin. Doge, USD, the wild ride of the month. Seems like it changes every month. One month it's GameStop, one month it's, Nikola, one month it's Tesla, one month it's, it seems like it changes. Doge looking really, really interesting here. We had a massive sell-off from the 70 cents mark, which is just crazy to even think. You guys, some of you guys know Frank, right? Frank bought Dogecoin underneath 1 cent. I think he bought it like over a year and a half ago at this point. He bought it so low and he's still holding on to his position. It's just been a crazy story. He's going to be here in the office with us next week. Maybe we can get him to update us on his wild ride here. So anyways, Frank is a beast. Yeah, he really is, man. I don't know what that guy does with his trading. He just does some crazy stuff. But anyways, yeah, I just wanted to pull up Doge. While we're just looking at crypto, I just also want to look at Bitcoin and Ethereum. So Bitcoin trading at 55. This one has been pretty much in a range. You've got, pretty much not a lot of action going on Bitcoin here. So if I'm looking at this, if anything, you've got just sort of back and forth. If price breaks out, maybe there's some room if you're a trader of Bitcoin, crypto traders out there. And then really finally, let's just look at the wild ride right now, which is Ethereum. So Ethereum, look at this, you guys. This is just wild. I think Ethereum is probably converting some Forex traders to crypto traders recently, because you've got, just back in February, we were at 1,900 and now we're almost over 4,000. We even crossed 40. We went to 4,200 just yesterday, which is just insane. Crazy moves there. Let's head back over to some currencies, though. I know you guys want to focus on that. So we'll look at, we looked at dollar CAD, we looked at euro dollar, pound dollar, dollar yen, gold. What else can we look at? Can we look at pound yen, GBP, JPY? We'll try this one out and see what this mover is doing. This one's been a pretty insane mover as well. So let's talk about pound yen. Okay, Amir says next time bring Peter Schiff on. My dad keeps telling me to do that. My dad he's like, you should invite Peter Schiff for gold. Maybe we will at some point. I don't know if he would show up or not. We're not the biggest stream ever, but maybe he would. Maybe we can invite him on to hear his thoughts. I'd be very interested to have that happen. Maybe someday we're gonna get the show a little bit built up first, and then maybe we'll invite some bigger, big names to the stream for sure. Okay, let's look at pound yen together. So pound yen, I want to look at it on the 4-hour view. See what you guys have to say on this guy. So what do you guys think? Pound yen, bullish, bearish? Is it going to go backwards? Who knows? What do you guys think? I have my opinions on this pair for sure. So definitely important there. Facebook stream is almost 5 minutes ahead. It shouldn't have much of a delay. I don't know how you got so ahead. Maybe you paused it on YouTube. That might have been what happened. Did Tesla bounce or something? What did it do? I'm curious now. I'm gonna come right back to GJ. Tesla. Oh, yep, it's bouncing. See? That's all you needed to do, guys. Just buy Tesla. As always, you guys know. I'm not here to tell you what to do with your money. I'm just sharing my thoughts. Okay, so let's read what you guys have to say. Retracement, then bullish. Margaret says bullish. Eugene says bullish. The King says bullish, bearish. Okay. Most of you guys are bullish. You guys already know I'm pretty bullish as well. Let's do a retail sentiment check very quickly. We'll jump over here and do this one really quick. So we'll just refresh the page and let's look at GBP JPY. Okay. So GJ here is currently 87% of retail traders looking at GBP JPY are actually short on, according to myfxbook.com. The reason that is really interesting is because, again, like we said with Euro USD, when you got all the retail crowd, more of the gambling crowd, more of the traders who don't have, rigid strategies or anything like that, when they're all short on something, might be worth being a little bit cautious with the whole GJ, sell side. So when I'm looking at GBP JPY, I'm saying, okay, if most traders are thinking it's short, I'm looking for opportunities to go long. Maybe if you get a pullback to demand, there could be some opportunities there. Let's mark some of those. We'll go here. You had some multiple chances where sellers got strong there a couple different times, right? So, but then finally, bulls came in strong with that recent bullish catalyst there on the pound. So that's one area. You've also got, of course, this zone here where you had previous resistance, strong sell pressure in that zone, right? So now you can actually see price rallying for the day traders out there. Maybe there's some moves here higher if you think there's some opportunities there. Let's look at the 1-hour chart for a moment. You can see buyers coming in very strong there right off the retest of that zone. You can see very clear buying demand here on the 1-hour chart. Look at that candle, pretty sharp rejection. So what this is telling us is that price came down and in just a short bit of time shot right back up. So that tells us that, okay, clearly you've got some buyers in that zone pushing price higher. So could lead to some higher moves on pound yen here. If you're a day trader and you're looking for some seriously short-term potential moves, maybe something like here, you got maybe a flag pattern looking thing, right? If you get something like this, breakout, maybe there's some moves higher there. So just some thoughts for the pound yen bulls on the lower time frames. So let's see what else we've got. When I'm looking at pound yen, for me, like I said, if anything, if I was to get long again on pound yen, I'd be looking for more of a pullback. I'd got to see a little bit more of a retracement there. Discount back to 152 looks pretty good for something like that, right? For something bigger term. Now, when I'm looking at pound yen, again, we got to go back to the daily chart for just a moment. We can talk about pound yen here, daily chart, and we're saying, okay, this thing has been sort of in a range. So although it does seem like, yes, it does seem high, right? It has that potential to, after consolidating like this, do something like this, where it breaks out and runs higher for the next leg of the trend. May seem impossible, right? But remember, pound yen has been doing this, right? Pound yen has been hurting the bears for a very long time. Ever since the bottoming out during 2020's crash, the pound against the yen has been a rocket ship. right? You've seen just multiple uptrends, things that are looking very, very good for the long side. And it makes sense. You've got the Japanese yen, which is a slower, more safe and steady currency to invest in, versus the pound, which is a bit more growth oriented, has more upside potential, but is also a bit more risky. So when things are looking good in the world, people are a little bit more comfortable taking some risk and pushing things higher there on the pound yen. Okay, so that's what I'm thinking on the pound yen. What do you guys think? Like I said, we asked before what pound yen is looking at, so I'm going to read through some of the comments. GJ is very good at respecting psychological levels. Let's see what else people have to say. People are only short for short-term bounce of the psychological level of 154. Well, the thing is, Ben, I would say this. So this actually, the reading on pound yen has been short for absolutely months and months and months. Every time I've looked at this since like back here, every time we pulled it up on stream, pound yen, people are short. And so that's just the nature of a lot of the retail traders, is they are constantly trying to sell an uptrend and buy a downtrend. People are always fighting the moves. Whereas, honestly, some of the best moves are just going with the flow, just going with the money train, if you will, whatever you want to, the nicknames that people come up with, right? You've got the rocket ship, the going to the moon, all those different sayings, right? So you have two different sides of opinion here. You've got people who are looking to go long and ride the trend, and you got people who are trying to fight the trend. And unfortunately, people have been trying to fight this pound yen monster. Has been a real tough time for them. So we'll see. With that said, you guys, I do want to say again, we're going to be shutting down the stream here on this channel, but we're going to be continuing the show on the secondary channel. So what I want to encourage you guys to do is subscribe to A1 Trading on YouTube. There's a link down below in the description. Make sure to subscribe here on this channel, but is also into the second channel. So again, second link in the description. Just pull up the description, click that link. It'll take you to the second channel. You can go and subscribe there. The second show is going to be starting if you came late to this one. And a big thank you to Phil, who also shared the link in the chat for you guys. So you can grab that link, or you can go do it in the description. But I want to encourage you guys, make sure you're over there, because we're going to start the show in about 10 minutes over there to continue on with Ivan, who is going to be coming on with some thoughts for some different currency crosses as well. So with that said, you guys, thank you so much for being here with me on today's stream. I do hope you got some sort of value. If you did, again, make sure to give it a thumbs up, and we will see you back on the next show. Head over to the second show. We're going to be there in just a few minutes, and we'll go ahead and start things up there for part 2. So stay tuned, and we'll see you back over there in just a minute.